Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Carrie. I'm Carrie Lazat, your Director of Cable and Community Relations, and we're in for a special elections Coffee with Carrie today. And today I have my guest with me, our clerk, Martin Brook. Welcome, Martin.
Good morning, Carrie. Good to see you.
So we'll just jump right into all of the election updates that we have. And I think you were telling me right before we were broadcasting that 15% of people have already voted absentee, and that, what was it, 3/4 of voting happens before Election Day.
Yeah, at the present rate, in the past anyway, about 75% of people will vote absentee, and we're 10% of what we've sent out have come back. So far we sent out, just checking the numbers, as of the end of the day yesterday, 16,232 absentee ballots after receiving a valid application and their signature was checked. We've sent out that many ballots, and 15% have come back already.
So if people have an absentee ballot, is that what they take for early voting at the library, or that's different? The early voting is different.
So an absentee ballot can be voted by returning it to my office, or it can be voted directly in the precinct. And so you could fill it out at home and bring it in. And that's new. Before, the only option was to bring it to the clerk's office to turn it in there.
Or drop it in
take it to the precinct, and it would be rejected, sent, and then they'd issue a new ballot. But the options now are return to the clerk's office for counting by the absentee voting counting board, bringing the completed ballot to the precinct or early voting to vote it directly there, or bring it to the precinct and spoil it, and reject it, and then they'll be issued a new ballot.
What about drop boxes?
Well, a drop box is just like leaving it at my office.
So that is an option too. So
Sure.
A clerk's office or a drop box, and
mailing it.
And mailing
getting it to my office in any way.
And how many drop boxes do we have now?
We have 3 outdoor drive-up drop boxes, and 1 in the township lobby, which is available 24/7.
All right. All good. So people have been getting mail, and some of it is official election email, and some of it isn't. So can we show them what official election email looks like? So
this is a piece of official election mail that my office prepared in conjunction with the Carrie's cable department here, and it has the official elections logo on it.
I'll show it to this camera, and you can talk there.
That is the logo that you would need to look for to determine whether the mailer is from a party or a candidate or an influencing group. If you don't see that, it's from a candidate or a party or some other group trying to influence your vote. And presently, we're not sending out any more official election mail, other than to someone who applies for an absentee ballot.
But I think people get things in the mail, like register for absentee voting, and it's not official, and it looks confusing. And so if they were to respond to something like that, what do they end up getting? It's
very confusing. I have seen pieces, people bring them to me, and they say, our records show that you haven't applied for an absentee ballot, and it looks like an official piece. And of course, they're concerned because they know in their mind they have applied for an absentee ballot, so what's going on? Again, those are not official pieces. They're just trying to push you. If you want to check whether or not you've applied for absentee ballot or not, you contact my office. You can also go to MVIC, the Michigan Secretary of State's website, and check on the status for your absentee ballot. Or you can go to the MVIC and apply for push notifications from the state.
MVIC is, what is that again?
MVIC is the Michigan Secretary of State site to check on the status of your, as a registered voter, and the status of your application, of your absentee ballot.
Okay.
And all that information is available there, or you can call my office.
Splitting your ticket. Let's talk about splitting your ticket, because there were ballots that were returned in the primary, maybe a few hundred, that weren't, because they split their ticket, they didn't count. But in the
partisan section of that ballot would not count, because you cannot, it is illegal in Michigan to split your ticket in a partisan primary election, which is what August was.
But now we're in a general. November 5th is a general, so you are able to split your ticket, but it can be a little confusing on how to do it. So if you can describe, like, just overall, how do you, can you check, I want to vote one side and then pick out ones to vote for, or how does it work?
So there are rules about how to fill out a ballot, and they are confusing. And that's one of the reasons why we did this mailer and described the options that people have to fill out their ballot. In the primary, you have to pick one party and stay in that lane. If you move from that lane, all your partisan selections would be invalidated. Any nonpartisan parts in August would be counted. In November, you can split your ticket. You can vote on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, Green Party, whatever you'd like. In November, as this flyer explains, I mean, you can vote straight ticket, which would automatically check every partisan box. You have to remember to turn over the ballot because there are nonpartisan races that straight ticket vote would not select for you. You can split your ticket, which means you can pick a partisan straight ticket spot and then override that selection in a particular race. That's not an overvote. You know, if you do that, anytime you make a selection in a race, that overrides the straight ticket selection. Or you can do what's called mixed ticket, which is don't pick straight ticket at all and just vote every race.
I think that's what I might do, just so that I make sure to get all the boxes right.
We'll get ballots back. People are always want to be. They took the time to do this. They want to make sure it works, and we get ballots back where people will have picked straight ticket, and then they will have filled in every vote too.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what maybe I do.
It's confusing, and you want to make sure it's counted right.
Okay, so for a race that has,
by the way, can I say? I mean, if you vote in person and there's an error on the ballot, the tabulator will tell you if you've overvoted or if there's been some kind of error that might reject a vote. The tabulator will tell you. If you turn it in the absentee voting counting board,
the tabulator is a machine, not a person.
The tabulator is a machine, not a person. It will tell you this, and you have a chance to fix it.
Okay.
If you turn it into the absentee voting counting board, and for instance, say you overvote, you cross party lines in August, like hundreds of people did, those partisan choices were not counted. So if you're concerned about how to vote, call my office. We'll give you some information about the methods of voting, or go to a precinct because they also will instruct you on.
And when you show up, you can ask questions if you're confused.
You'll get instructions from the election workers about your options like straight ticket, mixed ticket.
And who are all these election workers? Where do they come from?
They're our neighbors and community members.
Okay.
We have one election worker who has worked more than 40 elections.
Wow.
And many of them have been doing this for a very long time. Now, I got to tell you, there's a lot of new rules and a lot of new procedures, and they are being trained and have been trained, but it's an important day for everybody. They're eager to get it right. You're eager to get it right. So give them some grace to take the time.
People should pack their patience. They need to pack their patience if they have questions.
Right.
Yeah.
And one thing for sure, if you've been issued an absentee ballot and you chose not to turn it into our office, you can go to the precinct and vote. But if you don't, I encourage you to bring that ballot with you in the envelope. That will speed along the process. If you've been issued an absentee ballot and you leave it at home or lost it, be prepared to wait a little extra time because they cannot issue you a ballot until they contact the clerk's office and get permission, a verification that ballot hasn't been turned in. Of course, we believe you, but we verify. That's our legal obligation.
Trust but verify.
If you didn't, if you've got an absentee ballot and you didn't vote it and didn't bring it, be prepared to wait, especially during the busy times in the morning and the evening.
Okay. What else do we have to talk about? I feel like we've covered everything on our list.
I'd like to mention, too, that for those folks, there's some deadlines related to absentee voting. If you decided to return in your absentee ballot to the clerk's office and you change your mind, you can do that. You can spoil
the ballot. Okay.
The deadline to spoil a ballot that's been turned in is Friday the 25th. After that day, you cannot spoil your ballot. You cannot get a new ballot. You cannot spoil that ballot.
Are you open the 25th?
We are open Friday the 25th.
So that's not the extra hours you have?
One of our extra hours.
Okay. And the extra hours are posted on the clerk's website?
Well, my office is excited, by the way, about the election. We have a countdown clock going and a countdown board.
They're working now. They're working now.
We have been working really all year preparing for this time.
Yeah.
Lots of changes in the laws that we're always reviewing and digesting and preparing to apply and train our teams on. But this is showtime for the clerk's office and the staff, and we're eager to get to Election Day and work through that. And there are also now post-election activities. So, by the way, if someone their ballot application or absentee ballot signature didn't match our records, we notify them of that. They have until Friday after the election to correct a signature that's not accepted, and that's 5 o'clock on the Friday after the election. So that's also one of those new features, and individuals should be aware of that.
Well, we're just trying to make voting easier and more accessible for everybody.
And
right?
still secure as it always has been.
Yes, awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Martin. Thanks for doing the special elections edition of Coffee with Carrie, and I wish you the best for the election.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See you next time.